Hey, good morning, Andrew. This is going to be a quick demo video for you for your Denis Lukyanov Heart of Siberia. This is a very cool Jedi killer. I'm also going to reference in the demo video here in a moment how I took the sound fonts off of this MHS Saber that Megtooth Sith made for you. Used all the same fonts, put it on here. I just modified the config a little bit to accept a crystal chamber. Alright, so let's go over my desk. We'll take a look at this. I'll get both of these sabers and your blade out to you today. Thanks, man. Alright, Andrew, we've got your Denis Lukyanov Heart of Siberia here. So his version of the Jedi killer. This is a very, very cool hilt. I've worked on a few of these before, and they're super cool. 2-button setups. You got your dome tactile switches here. When you're looking at it face up, and the switches are kind of facing up, the one on your left-hand side here, that's going to be power, and the one on your right-hand side here, that's going to be auxiliary. All right. You got a crystal chamber. As I mentioned in the post yesterday, this did come with a printed crystal because you have the Goth Eco chassis. I took that out and I put a real quartz crystal in because I just thought it made it look a little bit more realistic. All right, and you've got a door here. So you see that little button head? If you grab that with your finger, you can slide that closed, and that's kind of what stops it from closing there. You'll get some shine through over here that you'll see here in a second, or if you prefer to have it exposed, which is kind of the visual that I like, you can just slide that over and you'll see your crystal chamber. So that has its own neopixel accent, of course. All right, your blade retention is right here. I left your blade plug in it for now, but I'll take that out. We're going to go over your blade that I made an adapter for, but this right here being your blade retention. All right, I went ahead and I put that red wire on for you. You and I had talked about that a little bit. One thing about the red wire on a Jedi killer, also on a Kylo Ren, right? So you got two different choices. On this particular one, you can unscrew the pommel, and that's what we're going to do because you and I talked about that. On the other ones, and like on the Kylo Ren, what I typically have to do is I'd come in here and I'd cut that wire right there so that you could pop one end loose and unscrew the handle. That doesn't quite work on this guy because these clips are open in the middle, and on those other sabers they're closed. So if I cut that here, you're going to see that. I didn't want to do that, so I will show you how to leave all this alone and go through the pommel. However, if you ever decide in the future you want to unscrew the pommel, or I'm sorry, unscrew the handle, do not unscrew this guy right here. It's kind of a three-piece deal. You've got the upper piece, you've got this midsection, and you've got the handle. If you're not careful, this midsection will unscrew. You don't want that to happen. I tightened it down as tight as I could with my hand. Just be mindful of like grabbing it right here and unscrewing your handle. All right, so that's what we've got there. To get to your chassis, to get it started, because you don't have much grip right here, I come through on these little vents and I just kind of go like that and I start it, right? It's going to take a little bit of patience. The good thing about this is you don't have to do it all the time. You just have to do it when you want to make any changes to the board and you want to charge your battery. But once you do that a few turns, you should be able to come over here and get a bit of a grip. Let me do it like this, all right? That'll pop out like that. It'll bring the chassis out with it. Let's put this over to the side here and we can pull our chassis right out, all right? This, like I said, is the Goth Eco chassis. All right, it says Goth 3 Designs right there. You got your battery compartment, the leaf spring here for the negative side of your battery, please, just a keep power protected cell, 18650. You've got that speaker. I believe you provided me with a Smuggler's Outpost Elite. All right, you've got that pin system right here. That pin system lines up, or that female PCB lines up with that pin system PCB in there. That never comes out. All right, that is held in place partly by that midsection. That's why I was saying try to be careful. Leave that on. All right, shouldn't be too hard. I just want you to be mindful of it. Your kill switch is located right underneath this guy. Now, I did not glue this onto the kill switch because it was a nice kind of press fit, and then in case any kind of maintenance in the future needs to happen, you should be able to pop that off pretty easily. But without physically going and trying to take it off, this guy isn't going anywhere. All right, you've got your Proffie V3 here, access to your SD card and your micro USB. I did take the MHS Saber that you gave me, that Megtooth Sith built for you. you sent that to me with the express instructions on trying to get the sound fonts off of there and onto here, and I did do that. I did have to go through and modify the config file just a bit, so the config file, or a copy of the config, is on this SD card. All right. On that particular saber, you had a main blade and you had two blinking LEDs. On this one, you have the main blade and you have the crystal chamber. So that's what we've got there. All right. So there is a particular way to put this into the saber so that you can access the kill switch. All right. When you're looking at the saber here, in between these cutouts, you can see this line in the handle. All of them have it. All right. Right in the middle of the cutout, you see this line. You can pick whichever one you like. It doesn't matter which, but you want to put this in. And as you put it in, you kind of want to make sure that your kill switch is lined up with one of those lines. That's how I found it works easiest. So come over here, push it all the way in like that. You see how it's lined up there. We're good to go. Maybe turn it just a bit like that. All right. Now we're going to come over here. We're going to put this piece on. All right. Twist it as much as you can. I prefer to come in here, even though it takes a little bit more time. I feel that it's easy to kind of like go through these grooves and just kind of go like this. Takes a little bit of time, but the aesthetic that you get from not cutting your wire, I feel, is worth the trade-off. All right. So we're going to make sure that this is nice and tight, just like that. Now, if we come back over here and we look, I forgot which groove that we picked. Shall be this groove right here. So as you can see, there's where your kill switch is. If it's not exactly lined up the way that you like, you can come over here. You can find like a little bump out in the chassis. You can take a pair of tweezers and you can push it over just a hair to align it how you like. All right. So now I know I can get in there with my tweezers and I can flip this kill switch.
Your overconfidence is your weakness.
And you see you got your crystal pulsing. It'll turn off here in a second. I used all the same settings that Megtooth did. All I did was change the blade style. So if you wanted to twist it on, you could do that. So the crystal goes from pulsing to matching the blade style. You got some nice shine through in your blade plug. Auxiliary and power right here. On this particular one is set up a little bit different than what I typically do. So to turn it off with the power switch, you just have to hold it down. I prefer just to twist. All right, just like that. So we're going to take your blade plug out. Here's your blade plug. I won't forget to put it back in. Super cool. We'll put this down here. And you sent me a 7/8 inch blade. So this 7/8 inch blade had an old blade adapter on it. I went ahead and I took that out. I had to machine an aluminum adapter that was the same size as the emitter. I did choose to not put it all the way down to the PCB here. I don't like that. It makes me uncomfortable. I just like to get that metal away from the pins, although I know it wouldn't touch. It's just a mental thing. All right, so, and I just kind of lasered 1-inch blade adapter on it for the Heart of Siberia because I was out there messing around in the shop and I was like, hey, I haven't turned that laser on in a few days. Let me just do a little something. So I just put that on there. And that's what we've got. I E6000 this onto the blade as per the last one that you had was also E6000. I actually had to cut that off with a Dremel. All right, so this isn't going anywhere. If you'll notice, when you put this into the saber, and you push it all the way down, that lines up with the emitter. All right, so you can see it stick out just a little bit right there, but when you push it all the way down and you engage those pins, it's lined up with the emitter. We're gonna go ahead and lock the blade down with our blade retention tool, and now you're good to go. We'll hit power. All right, go to another one.
You do have a great many things to explain.
It's just Ben these days.
Kylo Ren.
So, blade adapter is working very well. All right, so we'll come over here, loosen that guy up, take your blade, it comes right out. I made sure it fits in there nice and smooth, but it wasn't too loose and it wasn't too tight. All right, so we'll come over here, lock our blade plug back in so I don't forget that guy. All right, we'll turn it on one more time. And then we can come over here from the kill switch, we'll find it, which is right there. You could probably use your fingernail if you have one. I don't hardly have any, so I'd have to use a pair of tweezers and just turn it off like that. All right, and that is how you operate that guy. So I'm gonna go ahead, I'm gonna take my battery out off camera because it's a little bit of a process. But that is basically how you work your Heart of Siberia. And that is an example of the blade adapter that I made for your 7/8 inch blade. All right, so if you have any questions, please let me know. It's Friday today. I'm gonna try my best to get this out in the mail to you today. Thanks, man.